I've definitely talked about this before. I've always had kind of an aversion to seeking out therapy because every time that I have sought it out and I've tried like going into those spaces, I felt just little alignment with the people that I was interacting with. I kind of felt like I was at a different stage in my growth and my evolution. When I would express myself, I just kind of felt like, who am I even talking to? I don't really know this person. And I did not really enjoy the trial and error game. And as much as I played the trial and error game, it was like, I'm not really attracting the right people, right? How do you remedy this when you need to talk to somebody, when you need to express yourself to another human being? You can seek out friends, and even in those cases, I often felt like, I feel like I'm expending energy in an unhealthy way. I feel like I'm not helping myself in doing this. The communication that I'm needing is not happening with this friend or this, random individual I've never met and have no idea what they do in their spare time. So this is why I've had this aversion to therapy, and as a result, I've sought out different ways to kind of cope with certain things. I don't really have much of an issue with reflecting, like self-reflection, taking looks at myself, as much as that it is having those reflective moments in relationship, having these interactions, and being able to let me just pause because see, now I'm like experiencing discord because of even that expression of me like not liking that and wanting it to be my way. Anyways, don't matter. What I'm communicating right now is having this self-reflective moment in relationship to another being and the challenges that may arise from that, right? Like sometimes you have a falling out with a person, or sometimes it's more hurtful to connect or to communicate with a person than it would be helpful, although perhaps a communication would also be helpful at the same time. What do you do in those situations? When those things don't go resolved, it's very common that the mind will send you in these endless loops of how a person may have done you wrong, or what they could have done better, or what you could have done better, and maybe those like self-deprecating thoughts might come in. Whatever it may be, it could be all those at the same time, and then you're diagnosed with some kind of crazy disease because you're glitching or whatever, because you're thinking you're having these erroneous thought patterns. How have I remedied these thought loops in my brain when it comes to relationship? And honestly, something that's really helped me is actually allotting the time and the space for me to have those communications. You could have had a really negative experience with another being, and it could have been like 10 years since you've had that, and it still affects you negatively because you are locked into a thought pattern that is not serving you any longer, or that might be holding you back, or might be keeping you in an energy that you no longer want to be in anymore. And not only this, will not allow you to evolve in that way that you are wanting, or move in the direction that you are wanting, right? Like we have to sacrifice a lot as we change and expand and evolve, or however you want to put it, and however it relates to you. Oftentimes when we're developing ourselves consciously and we're doing all these things for ourselves to be better for ourselves, we have to face really, really hard things. We have to come into contact with parts of ourselves that we didn't want to touch. Maybe we're willing to because it's on our nature, but it's just not even knowing how, or not being able to because of ignorance, or because of the way things are set up as to keep us ignorant, right? That's the thing, but we don't want to allow that to get to us or have control over us. As a matter of fact, it does not have control over us, and it's actually only you who is creating that which you are seeing all around you, right? And so this is why I have practiced this, and that is going into a conversational space with conflicting relationship that I might have with another being. And I open this space in such a way as to freely express myself. This is your safe space to just be like, you know what, you fucked up, I'm mad at you. Or this is your space to be like, this is how your actions affected me. Or this is your space to be like, I never meant to do that, right? This action of actually recreating a scene in which you are creating some resolve, right? Or maybe there isn't resolve. You're in that state where you're just really laying down all the emotions that you might have. And you might go through this process multiple times before you come into any sort of healthy relationship with this being. this is something that has helped me and allowed me to just freely express, devoid of the need to have to play this game with these people that I don't know. I don't know what they're doing with their time. I don't know how they treat their loved ones behind closed doors. This is what has helped me, to just go within myself, have these conversations with myself, work things out with myself. That doubt will creep in. Like, you might think that you're a bad person because you behaved poorly. You are not your behavior patterns. You are not all the thoughts that are in your head. You're you, right? And so there's a clear distinction between those things. That doesn't mean you shouldn't be accountable. You shouldn't take a good look at yourself in the mirror and be honest with yourself. But when we get inside our heads and we don't create this resolve, we start to believe that we're bad people. We start to believe all of these negative things about who we are fundamentally. It's just a form of processing, conversing, and coming into a more healthy position. Hopefully, if you like it, if it resonates with you, you can continue to do it until you are fully resolved and absolved of any pain and suffering that you might experience with a person. How that conversation looks is completely up to you. Just know that the way that you are perceiving the external is what's going to be reflected back to you. So it's okay to, it'll serve for some time to express negatively if that's how you genuinely feel, and it definitely won't serve to harbor those emotions and to ignore them. Let them have it, whatever. But also understand that coming into a peaceful state and forgiveness from those who are outside of you is ultimately the only route that you're going to find forgiveness within yourself for whatever the reason is that you even found yourself in a disharmonious and discordant relationship to begin with. So I hope that was helpful in any way, and I really appreciate you. I'm talking fast because there's not a single photo or video on my shit. I always delete them, and it tells me I don't have storage.